Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Wisdom Seekers University slash Urban Scholar Connect the Dots 500 Electric Mercury. Yeah, that's me all in one. But yeah, check it out. Today we're gonna be talking about the Etruscans. What do you guys know about the Etruscans? All right, just to give you guys a briefing on it for the ones that don't have a long attention span, for the people that got a short attention span. Let's get into it. All right, the Etruscans were the ancient Romans. All right, everything in South Europe, Central Europe, those people were the Etruscans. All those people were the Etruscans. So I'm kind of freestyling off my mind, so I may stumble a little bit just because I'm trying to articulate the words in the right way so that you will follow what I'm saying. But for the most part, beginning and end, the people in South Europe, Central Europe, Scotland, Ireland, all those places were the Etruscans, right? And they called themselves Rasnas, the Rasna people, right? Rasna. So that is just another reference for you to look up to follow more, about to learn more about these Etruscans, right? So now, just like I said, just to make the longer story short, they are the ancient Romans, and the ancient Romans are the people that's like the Pope and the Catholics and all those type of people. They're also the people that's considered they have wrote the Bible, like the Nicene Council and all these type of people. This is the same area where Alexander the Great and, according to the Bible, Julius Caesar and all these people were doing their thing. But basically, all these people were Etruscan people. They were black people. And I'm not saying it just because I'm black. I'm saying it because it's in history and it's been hidden, right? But they don't know a lot about these people. But one thing they do tell you is that they got rid of all the information that these people believed in, like all the religious doctrine and the literature, stuff like that. They got rid of it, right? And so this is kind of reminding me of like Alexandria and all those places. And I want to go ahead and add in too that the Greeks and all those people, they were black as well. And again, I'm not saying this to be prejudiced or racist or just want to be a part of something. No, I'm not doing any of that. If you follow the research about the Khazars and all those type of people, all of those people were black. All right. So now I want to go into a little detail about what these people kind of believed in from what they're presenting, right? But you always have to read between the lines. You have to go dig a little deeper to get the full understanding of what's being said, because it's easy to be misled if you're not paying attention. All right. So now let's go ahead and get into it. Okay. So it says, who were the Etruscans, right? Who were the Etruscans in Rome? That's a question. So Etruscan is a member of an ancient people of Etruria, right? So first, Etruria, Italy. So first thing you know is that Etruria was an ancient city of Italy, okay, that had an ancient people. And these ancient people were black people. If you pay attention to the picture that was just behind me, you know what I mean? So, if you pay attention to the picture that is behind me, rather, but you know what I'm saying, when it was blowed up. So now, it says, between the Tiber and the Arno rivers, west and south of the Apennines, whose urban civilization reached its height in the 6th century BCE. All right. So it says it reached its height in the 6th century BCE. This before uh, Jesus and the Bible and all this other stuff, you know what I mean, which we all are pretty aware of. But for the ones who don't know, it's way before those times. So it's like the 6th century BC, 500, 400, 300, 200, 100. You know what I mean? Then you start over basically, right? And then it's okay. You guys get it. So now it says many features of Etruscan culture were adopted by the Romans, their successors, to power in the peninsula. Pay attention now. Did you guys catch what that said? It said many features of Etruscan culture were adopted by the Romans, their successors, to power in the peninsula. And let me remind you again, if you guys are thinking about Caucasian white people, they were not the Romans. Okay? They came in with Hannibal and all these people to conquer the Etruscan people. And Hannibal was also black. And I may add in, if I must add in, the so-called white people are albinos. The so-called white people are albinos. Do your research on it. When you do the research on the Etruscans, you will come across the information speaking of the albino people. And if you do the research on the color of white, right, it can also mean light-skinned. So white people are only albinos. Albinos that continue to mix with one another. That's what I think they were, as they continued to mix and mix and mix. And then they came with the casting system, saying light skin is better than dark skin and things like that. And they were able to gain power in order to orchestrate things the way they want to orchestrate it. That's just my opinion of how they did it, right? But let's stick to the so-called facts that they have out for us without any speculation. The fact of the matter is that they're stating in the Britannica, right? That's where the information is coming from. That many features of the Etruscan culture were adopted by the Romans. That's powerful. All right, so now let's go to let's look at the Etruscan beliefs. All right, so it says the Etruscan system of belief was an imminent polytheism. That is, all visible phenomena were considered to be manifestations of divine power. And that power was embodied in deities who acted continually on the world, but could be dissuaded or persuaded by mortal men, right? So it's saying that power. Okay, let me read it again. It said the Etruscan system of belief was an imminent polytheism. That is, all visible phenomena were considered to be manifestations of divine power. Okay? All visible phenomena were considered to be manifestations of divine power. So it's saying like the sun, the moon, us, animals, water, everything that exists that has life or that moves or whatever the case that is natural are manifestations of divine power. Okay? And it says, and that power was embodied in deities saying the stars, the moon, and everything else, people, right? So the spirit, basically, the life force of everything. That's what they're speaking on. And it says, who acted continually on the world, but could be dissuaded or persuaded by mortal men. So it's saying that we have the power to manipulate the elements of the earth. That's what it's saying. Like you can take a tree and build a house. You can take water and flour or whatever the case of wheat and all that. You know what I'm saying. Make bread and but we can manipulate the elements. We look at all these things that we have around us that we created. So that's what it's speaking of, right? So let's go into the word imminent. All right, the word imminent means existing or operating within, right? Key thing, within, existing or operating within, inherent. Okay, so now let's go to the next definition of it. It says of God, permanently pervading and sustaining the universe. So it kind of correlates with what their belief is, saying that God is in all things in the universe, right? And it pervades, it sustains the universe, okay? So now, as you can see, it says remaining within is what it is in late Latin. And speaking of late Latin, and speaking of a Latin period, again, the black people in Europe, South Europe, Central Europe, all over Europe, all over Scotland, all over the area, everywhere. We were the Latins, okay? We created the language of Latin. The Latins received their language from the Etruscans. Facts. This is what they state. This is the information that I've ran across when I was looking it up myself, that they got their information from the Etruscans, but they are conveniently left out of this equation when you track it. You see what I'm saying? Like in common knowledge, the Etruscans are left out. Boom. All right, so now let's go to polytheism. So I like to break words down sometime just to get a full understanding of what it's saying, because I've learned that you can easily be misled if you just look at the way they define the word altogether, which I didn't put on this one. I just broke it down, and it's basically saying the same thing as what they believed in. Okay, it would just say, it says that they believe in many gods, right? So poly means much or many, and then theism means God. So they put it together as if the Etruscans believed in many gods. But they said imminent polytheism. Okay, so now imminent being the adjective, so it's describing what type of polytheism they're dealing with. And the word imminent means within, so they got to be speaking of something that's on the inside of things. Okay, they're not speaking of like many gods and how they try to put it in the spooky aspect. So now poly means many or much, right? But understand what it means in chemistry. See, because chemistry is also an important area to study if you can. Chemistry, physics, biology, things like that. You know what I mean? So that you can get an overall 360 understanding of knowledge, of the knowledge that's presented, that's out there, right? So that you can, okay, but anyway, the chemistry definition is denoting the presence of many atoms or groups of a particular kind of molecule. Okay, so for people that understand basic biology, which is the foundation of all things, right? Understand that life as we know it, material as we know it, comes from atoms. Whether we want to agree with the terminology or whatever or not, because we understand nothing has a name. We just call things names, right? So understanding that atoms, as we know it, is the smallest particle of the universe, right? That gives us matter. And atoms are made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons, right? So when we get to the finest particle, when we try to understand what the finest particles of protons, neutrons, and electrons are made up of, they understand that they don't know, right? Because atoms in themselves are so small so you can barely see them. Okay, so now trying to break down the atom, the protons, neutrons, and electrons to see what they are, they can't do it. So basically, they say it's nothing. Hint, God, all in all, nothing, everything, nothing but something. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the part that they don't know about the life force part. Okay, why did I tell you guys that? So we're speaking of atoms, right? So now we're trying to explain that the human body is made up of millions and millions, even billions of trillions probably of atoms, right? Don't quote me on it, but it's definitely high up there. But I don't have it an exact number. But I know for sure it's millions and millions of them, of atoms that makes up your whole body, right? And each atom or cell has its own, it's basically like its own person. This is science. When you look it up, they'll basically let you know that each atom has its own composition, so to speak, its own life, its own thing. All right. So that means that you are made up of hundreds and millions of people, right? Yourself, you're not really just. I don't want to spook y'all out too much, but I think y'all kind of caught what I'm saying. For the people who don't know, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. But you are made up of millions and millions and millions and millions of people. Okay, and just thinking about it in the cynical aspect, right? So let's say you got your mother, your dad, you have your grandparents, they have their parents, so those are grandparents, and those grandparents, and those grandparents, and those grandparents. So when it goes all the way back to when mankind started or whatever, and all your relatives, it's in the millions, right? That's just to put it on the earthly aspect of it, to understand that, hey, that's your DNA, okay? So your DNA consists of everything. Okay, and I don't want to go too deep into it, like I said. So now, let's get into theism. Okay, since we already explained to you about the atoms aspect and how when they say it's denoting the presence of many atoms or groups of a particular kind in a molecule, right? We know our body is made up of atoms and then they form molecules and all this kind of stuff that we eat food, right? And it all goes together. It all makes sense. So I don't have to beat a dead tree about that. All right, so now, theism. It says belief in the existence of a god or gods. Okay, so now when you look up the word polytheism, they're going to tell you that it's the belief in many gods. Okay, I can't believe I didn't even put it in my presentation, but it's all good. When you look it up, that just gives you some homework to do. That's just a simple thing to do. Just, hey, what is polytheism? And they're going to automatically let you know that it's the worship of many gods, right? Of different of a bunch of gods. But as we see theism here, right, it's saying that God or gods, right? So it's saying it could be one or many. Okay. So now, most people believe in one God, right? So in polytheism, they believe in many gods. Okay, but if we looking at it from a within aspect, which is the imminent part of it, when they say imminent polytheism, and you take the prefix poly and use the chemistry definition for it, and you relate it to atoms and stuff like that, meaning it's a person, right? So it's inside the person, the God within, because it can mean God or gods, right? As you can see, it can mean God or gods. So imminent polytheism means that they worship and they follow the God within. Follow what I'm saying? Imminent means within. Poly means many atoms and everything, which can mean your whole being, your flesh. Okay, so now we have within, poly. Okay, immanent, within, poly, body, within the body. Okay, God. So poly is describing what kind of God. The God is inside the God inside the body. That God, right? So it's a God or gods. So understanding that it can mean one God or many gods. They assuming that it meant many gods based on the definition of many, but we didn't get the definition of atoms to know that it can mean one being, right? Accumulation of molecules and all this type of stuff. So now, like I said again, this is how you got to break the code. This is how you got to connect the dots. Urban Scholar, connect the dots. All right, that's me. Urban Scholar connects the dots. I don't just let them tell me anything. I piece it together. Okay? Now, understanding how things can get hid, you know and you see that they worship the same God within, the same thing that they are saying that they believe with the Jesus Christ saying the spirit within and all this kind of stuff, right? Is that I turned my fan off, so I'm getting a little hot. I ain't gonna lie. So I'm gonna have to turn that joker back on in a minute. Or hurry up and get up out of here and hit y'all with another recording in 1 second. Or whatever, a little later on or something about other things. So just make sure y'all follow the videos, man, because I don't want to go too long on this one. I just want to stick to the topic because I had the tendency to go everywhere. But I just want to drop a lot of little nuggets so I can come back and and add to it, further develop it, or inspire you guys to look more into what I'm saying, right? To do more research. So yes, immanent polytheism means the worship of the God within, for the most part. That's what it means, right? The Etruscan people are the people that, let me take you back to this picture so y'all can just see the people. All right, so as a matter of fact, let me take y'all to this one right here. To the scene up here, because I want y'all to see the whole picture, man. I want y'all to see the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? So the Etruscans, man, these people right here, these black people, y'all see these people? These people are good and black. It ain't no military secret. They black. They are black. And I hope I don't have no buffering problem, because I noticed the last couple of videos they've been playing with me. The man, the image, you know what I'm saying? What if they do? They just repeat the words, don't even worry about me, you know what I'm saying, on the screen and all that. But yeah, the Etruscans, man, the Etruscans, this is what it's all about. This is what they hiding from us. So they have us thinking about the 12 tribes of Israel and all this kind of stuff. And you remember we had the lost tribes, right? And I have to let you know that these were seafaring people, right? So that mean they understood how to travel, how to navigate, and they was around during the what war was it? The 30-year war in Europe. They had the 30-year war, and so during this same time is when supposedly the slaves was coming over here in 1619. If I'm not mistaken, the 30-year war lasted past 1619, okay? And for the ones who don't know, technically, the first people that were slaves came over here, they were black and white. And they were indentured servants at first. So they technically weren't permanent slaves. That happened after the fact. Right? When they started developing this casting system, when they reversed everything that was going on in Europe, they reversed it when they came to the Americas. And they wanted us to be subservient under them, I don't want to go. I don't want to lean too much into speculations or anything like that. But when that's just my opinion. When I take the time to look back at it and just observe what happened, it was just a switch, you know. But if people don't know, you can't address the situation. But one thing for sure, if you put two and two together, if all this chaos is going on and they're being attacked from all these people, and people are dying, from a rational aspect and outlook, I would think that they would get in the boats and get gone. So that's what I think they did. That's what I think they did. A lot of them got on the boats, went to the Americas and other places, into Africa and everywhere else, and just expanded out. And these people, I believe, according to what the scriptures speaking of, if these were real characters indeed, these will be the people that will be more in line with enslaved, not necessarily, well, yeah, basically enslaved too, but people that were in exile. These were the lost tribes, the 13th tribe. See, people speak of the 12 tribes all the time, but they never mention anything about the 13th tribe. What about them? Right? So now, like I say, just keep it on a history aspect and not necessarily a religious or spiritual one, even though everything boils down to spirituality, because that's the only thing that we know about them. And the idea of me bringing this up is for us to understand that the Christian, Catholic beliefs and all that, and the Romans and all the thrones and the scepters and all the, the things that they're doing and the power, they took it from the Etruscans, which were affiliated with the Egyptians, were with the family of the Egyptians. But like I say, they mixed in with the Khazars and all those people. So they were the people down in Southeast Asia or Southwest Asia or whatever, which it's called Asia now, but it was Southeast Ethiopia. That's what it was. The part that's Asia right now, the Southwest Asia, was Southeast Ethiopia. Right? For sure, the name was changed. Don't quote me too much on the Southeast and Southwest part of it, but for sure, that part of Asia in the southern border was Ethiopia. And the Ethiopians are the ones that went to Egypt and went to Europe and went to all of these other places, and expanded, went up into Asia, into China and all these places. Like everything pretty much expanded out from that area. Okay, this is history. When you go into the Buddhism and things like that, and you learn more about what's going on, when you see Brahma and all that, which represent Abraham, and I can go on and on, So, just do your research and don't get too caught up in the literature and the philosophies itself. Just understand how all these stories and all these teachings and these mysteries are designed to help you break the code. You know what I mean? Or to receive the code, right? To unlock what it is you need to unlock on the inside, right? So that you can manifest it and produce it on the outside. That's how it works. All right? So, with all that being said, man, until next time, I get with y'all. Peace. Urban Scholar. Connect the Dots. Electric Mercury. BT. So you see me in the social media world, stop by. Deal with me. Holla at you.